From her early days working at McDonald's to becoming vice president, Kamala Harris has often emphasized her humble beginnings to connect with middle-class voters who feel left behind. And now, she is hoping to leverage that background as she steps into the race following President Biden's sudden exit. During a key speech delivered in North Carolina last week, the Democratic candidate outlined her economic vision, promising to tackle the rising cost of living and provide financial relief to working families.
As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Harris has proposed measures like tax breaks for families with children, access to government-subsidized healthcare, as well as support for first-time home buyers. She has also criticized her opponent, Donald Trump, for tax cuts that she believes only benefit the wealthy, and warned that his trade policies could drive up costs for ordinary Americans.
To build an America where everyone's work is rewarded and talents are valued, where we work with labor and business to strengthen the American economy, and where everyone has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead.
Trump, however, is hitting back hard. He has quickly accused Harris of pushing a far-left agenda that he says will harm the economy and lead to higher prices for consumers.
Kamala went full communist. You heard that? She went full communist. She wants to destroy our country. After causing catastrophic inflation, Comrade Kamala announced that she wants to institute socialist price controls. You saw that. Never worked before, never ever worked. This is the Maduro plan, Venezuela Maduro plan.
Despite the harsh rhetoric, Harris is gaining traction, particularly among voters who feel the current administration's policies have started to turn the tide on inflation.
I really liked Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and I like that other deal, that supply chain deal that he made, and the fact that she's just connected that, the fact that she has connective tissue and the cabinet has connective tissue to that makes me want to fully embrace her. But I also like her tax plans.
As the election approaches, both candidates are ramping up their efforts to win over the American people. But the question now is which economic vision will resonate more with voters. Omer Bakkaloglu, TRT World.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Matthew Newman, who's a financial journalist, a member of Democrats Abroad, joining us now live from Brussels. Matthew, really good to see you. If I'm an investor and I want to invest in the US, why would I do that if Kamala Harris becomes president and corporation tax rises to 28%?
Well, right now we're looking at an economy where normal people, regular everyday people are struggling, and Kamala Harris has a plan to help them. And if you look at Trump's plan, he's looking at higher tariffs. He just announced last week that he would impose 10 to 20% higher tariffs if he's elected. And economists would tell you that that means higher prices for average Americans. It's a tax. So if you're an investor and you're looking at how to put your money, would you go to a candidate that's pushing for more economic stability, or someone who's looking for more chaos? We remember the 4 years of Trump and his economic chaos. Do we want that? Investors clearly don't. And I believe that if Harris is elected, there will be a relief rally because people understand that investing in the United States is a much, much clearer story than investing in a chaotic Trump administration.
Yeah. But I asked you about this increase in corporation tax under a potential Harris administration, and you came back at me with an increase in Donald Trump's tariffs. Effectively, either way, whoever was elected, you're looking at increased costs for businesses in the US.
Well, let's look at the taxes. Okay, sure. When Trump came in, he cut corporate taxes. He cut them to 21%. And now the Democrats are proposing up to 28%, which is a compromise if you look at it. And businesses, they look at stability, they look for certainty, and 21% is quite low, and 28% I would say is fair if you look at the contributions that corporations need to make for our economy and to make sure that there's a decent, fair economy and open for everyone, open for working families and for businesses alike. So everyone needs to have their fair share of contributing to the burden of social programs, and businesses understand that.
Um, Kamala Harris, one of her very popular policies, and to be fair, Donald Trump came out with it first, was scrapping taxes for tips for those who work in the service industry, things like waiters and waitresses. We're not quite sure how that would work, but do you think that those kind of economic policies, they're popular, but practically speaking, they're difficult to implement, and that we need to see a little bit more detail from Kamala Harris as we move towards November, that people don't really have an idea of what the US economy would look like under her administration?
Yeah, I think that her speech last week in North Carolina was her first overview of her plans. That's fine. It's kind of early days for her campaign. She's on a sharp increase in her messaging. And let's look at the ideas behind it. You look at price gouging as an idea that she came up with. That sounds populist, but it also makes economic sense. If you look at the idea of, of tax credits for the economy, for working families and for children, that makes sense as well. You put the money in working families' pockets, and that absolutely has an impact on the economy. So yes, she needs to look at the more details of how these programs would work, but the headline makes economic sense, and we're looking for a much better future with Harris compared to Trump.